do electric work to get
No,
that.
not here.
She's not.
I love that.
And you retired?
Live, they're live.
She retired.
Okay, thank you.
We'll watch it later.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 10th, 2023 work session. Will you all please rise for the pledge to the flag? So, Joe, do you lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone could please remain standing. Of course, as normal, I will always ask for a moment of silence for our police, fire, ambulance, our armed forces, men and women who defend our freedoms, and our EMS, fire, police, ambulance that keeps us safe on a daily basis. I must expand upon that with the horrific acts that are going on in Israel as we speak. Let us please keep in our thoughts and prayers the people of Israel and those fighting men and women over there that are trying to regain some type of normalcy for the horrific acts that are occurring at this point in time. Amen.
Amen.
And I'm going to speak for myself, but I think my words probably will resonate for the rest of the town board, that we all stand with Israel. May God bless them and cradle them in his arms. Okay, let's do some introductions.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Councilman and Deputy Supervisor Ed Lachman.
Supervisor Tom Diana.
Sergio Esposito, Councilman.
Luciana Howitt, Councilwoman.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
Okay, just some quick opening remarks. Once again, may God bless and keep them safe, all the people of Israel. We had you get on these, you got these terrible, horrific things that are happening in lands far away from us. But we got to remember, this Israel's about the size of New Jersey, so you can imagine the close quarters that those poor people must be dealing with over there, and having to try and get away from this stuff. The innocent people that are being attacked there, it's terrible. And it's almost tough to talk about the good times that we had over the weekend at the fall festival that the Chamber put on with other organizations, and the like. But we had a good time there. It was a really successful event. It was packed. They had a great car show, and I think everybody walked away from there real happy. We had our police, our fire, our ambulance people there. We had a lot of food trucks of all varying sizes and shapes, ice cream trucks and so on. A lot of vendors that were there and giving away some good tchotchkes for those of you that like that kind of thing. But it was a real good time. And it was nice to see that the mall parking lot was to capacity. It really was. It reminded me of the days gone by when, around Christmas time, you were shoulder to shoulder, going from store to store in there, and nothing was left if you went on Christmas Eve, like when I usually shop. But great time, a really great time. Let's see. I think that's about it I have for tonight. For my opening remarks, what I'm going to do is I'd like Rabbi Robert Wiener to come up, please, if you would. Ed had asked Rabbi for him to come in and give a blessing and a talk to us about what's going on over in Israel. And Rabbi, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I just want to say, this all took place. The war happened. It's not only a tragedy, but it also happened right at the tail end of our High Holy Day period. And while that horrific and the trauma and the tragedy and all that stuff was going on, there were some beautiful things that happened within our town, as you were mentioning, Tom, not only town-wide, but also in our own community, where the support that the police has always given all the synagogues in Yorktown, it's really been extraordinary. So much so that we have a very, very well-attended children's service that takes place on one of the holidays, and we have easily 100+ people there, and because of the climate that we have in this country and in the world as it relates to Jews, we have lots of families with young children who have a little bit of fear in their minds about being Jewish, and it's hard. So the good news,
Rightfully so,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
yes, but the good news was not only did we have regular visits from the police, which we have yearly during this time, which is good. It gives people a real comfort. Chief Noble happened to have been on duty during this time, and he not only stopped by the building, he came in and sat in the service. So I happened to, during this service, literally run around the entire sanctuary singing and dancing. And the chief is there sitting, singing, clapping, getting all involved with all the kids and all the parents and everything like that. And while I get a lot of comments about my sermons throughout the holidays, almost everybody commented on how great it was to see the chief there supporting the community, making the kids feel comfortable. And so it was a wonderful kind of connection in the midst of, as you were saying, Sergio, this reality that the Jewish community around the world has to struggle with. So I wanted to give a prayer. Tom, I can't give you any pieces of information more than what any of us can get from the news.
Yeah.
But I'm more than happy to answer any questions or talk more after the prayer if you'd like. But the prayer that I brought with me this evening basically has kind of three components. But the overarching idea is, Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Oh, the one who makes peace in the high heavens. Please, first and foremost, please return all of the hostages. May you allow them to return home to the embraces of their loved ones. May you also, O God, protect all of the troops, and may they return home from all of their missions in peace. And lastly, may you bring shalom. May you bring peace to the land of Israel and all of its inhabitants. May that come soon. And may that peace somehow, some way, bring forth a time when we truly will not have to learn of war anymore. May it be God's will. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. And you talked about the chief being at your service. Ed and I attended a service Monday night
With
last night. I'm sorry, with
that was Monday. Yeah, with the Chabad with Rabbi Heber.
and talking about the chief, we had approximately 27 law enforcement leaders from across the New York area who were actually in Israel for basically a fact-finding seminar on how Israel police does what they do.
Right.
And I got a call from Mike Lawler on Saturday, and they wanted to get these folks home. And they were from Rockland County, Westchester County, Long Island. As a matter of fact, our chief was supposed to go, but due to family engagements, he couldn't go. So it was quite tense for a while, but I understand they are all back in the United States. So that's a good thing. It's a very bad thing that this is going on. This has happened. We all probably sitting there watching the TVs, wondering how and why it happened. How come the intelligence wasn't there to say, "Hey, this was going to happen"? It brings heartache to everybody to see these things that are happening to a good people,
Yeah.
and for no good reason. Ed, I know that you wanted to.
Yeah. Look, I was 8 years old the last time this happened, the 7-Day War. On the 50th anniversary, it happens again. And it's devastating. You don't want to watch it, and you can't not watch it. You have to try to have some type of understanding, which is impossible. I do thank God that we have people like our Yorktown Police Department. I've been to the Jewish Council of Westchester with Chief Noble, as he has done awareness drills and presentations with the FBI on how to keep things safe. I do know, and he said he has no problem with my sharing. We had stepped up, the visits to the synagogues and the Islamic Community Center, the mosque, because unfortunately, as my wife had put it, we have friends who are Palestinian. We have friends from almost every Arab nation, and the acts of these terrorists will impact their life in the United States, where they have nothing to do with that, and their belief structure is nowhere near that. Everyone's still going to look at them a different way. And it's just a sad thing that the goal of terrorism, which they have done in this case, is to change your way of life. Yeah. But I thank our police department. Going to the service yesterday, and sitting there. Tom was there, Diana was there, a few other people. It's just so imperative that we know that there's that safety net. We hopefully don't experience these things in our community, and and I applaud the aspect and the bravery of our religious leaders such as you to make sure that the children can still do what they need to do, and not have life so set askew that we can continue. We just started reading the Torah from the first page again, and it's just very, very tough. And when you read through it, there's nothing about targeting the innocent, and I don't think any spiritual scripture. I've read some of the Quran. I've read a lot of the New Testament as well as the Old Testament. I have never seen anything like that, and it's just an aberration. It's evil, and we hope that we can be guided through this to a time of shalom, a time of peace.
Yeah.
The only thing I just wanted to say was that Matt Slater, he called me yesterday, and he's not the only one. I've had other phone calls from others, and they asked me, like, well, what can we do? Is there something that we can do? And the truth, from my perspective, is right now is the easy time. These days, these early days of this war, this is the apple pie time. Anybody can stand up in a microphone and say, I stand with Israel. I worry about next week. Yeah. I worry in 2 weeks. I worry when the tanks start rolling in to Gaza and people start seeing more and more death of innocent lives. Mm-hmm. That because that's how packed it is there in Gaza. You had mentioned, beautifully put, that Israel is the size of New Jersey. Well, imagine if now military just had to seek out all the terrorists in Newark, That's it. Or say Manhattan Island.
Right.
That's your spot. All the terrorists that you have are there, as well as, I think, many, many, many civilians. There is no question, as I heard earlier tonight in a news program, that there is no winning here. There is no winning. We've all experienced the massive loss of life and the hostages coming out of Israel, but there is no question that there's going to be loss of life for our Muslim brothers and sisters who are just caught in the crossfire because they happen to live in the Gaza Strip.
And that's important because not all people from Islam and that Muslim, are these people, because these people that did this are just pure evil.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the reports, I hope they're not true, because it's just news right now, but they were killing little babies. And the reporter was like, they were killing kids and babies, and at least the babies didn't know fear.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's a positive spin on something that's completely horrible.
Right. That's a disgusting.
And the other thing is, you're right. Two very important points. We can't condemn our Muslim friends because they're not all one people. They all have individual, and we really have to stay the course and stand behind Israel.
Yeah, and like I said, it's really about the dialoguing and the supporting and whatever it's going to turn into in a couple of weeks, or maybe even just a few days. I don't know, but that's all I can ask is continue to support and thank you for having me here.
Rabbi, thank you so much. And we as a town board come united, and we ask all of our residents to pray for the people of Israel. As they mobilize and come together to deal with the greatest threat and security challenge they've had since 1973. The Israeli troops are strong. They're going to triumph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Rabbi, thank you.
Okay.
I do worry, and to the rabbi's point, there are people that blame the attacks on the Jews. And it's just the point is there's going to be loss of life and there's going to be finger pointing, and it's just people already throwing a smoke screen in front of it.
Yeah.
So
terrible.
Pray for everyone. And it's actually the epicenter of three religions in Jerusalem, with Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all epicentered right there.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different people caught in the crossfire.
You'd think such a holy land would not, this wouldn't happen in.
Well, all of the Crusades were fought over
Yes,
the
they
Holy
were.
Land. So
Yes, they were. All right. Well, please pray for the people of Israel, everybody out there. And we're going to have to push forward at this point and give help where we can. All right.
one question for Rabbi. And you
Yes.
on the temple website, will you have a listing of some of the charities that are helping to support Israel?
I think it's there, but I'll check.
All right. So the answer for those of you at home is the rabbi will check to see if they're there, and if not, make it happen. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
And a shout out to our police also, who've been continually checking the all of our houses of worship, and but special attention to the temples, the Chabads, that mosques, etc., that are around, because oftentimes you get these splinter groups that come out and do bad things.
Well, that's what happens when you allow everyone in without ID, right? Like, at the end of the day, the experiences I had today, just sitting with those that gave me their experience of being Jewish and living here in Yorktown, and the guilt that they held simply because they weren't there and they were able to drop their kids off at school, and they were able to. This is a terrorist act, and it came from a bad group of humans who decided to come together, and some of them are protesting right now in our own city, and they're just essentially saying the most horrific things about a population that had to rebuild itself from the same exact genocide that happened years ago. So check who you invite into your house. Be mindful of that.
Yeah. Thank you, Lou. All right. We have Mr. Klaus Wimmer that's going to give us an update on cell towers. Good to see you.
Shalom, Rabbi.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Supervisor, members of the board. That's a difficult topic to follow. It's
Yeah. I know, it's been a hard day.
unbelievable. Yeah. But we do have some good news,
Okay.
and thank you for allowing me to come tonight to give you an update on what's going on.
All the towers are up and you're finished. Not quite.
We just got to flip the switch. Not quite. Not quite is right. No, but we did at on Hill Boulevard in Jefferson Valley. We did receive the DEC permit
Right.
for the wetland permit to be in the buffer zone. So for us, the next step would be to go in and do a geotech boring, so we can finalize the foundation drawings and then apply for a building permit. However, to do that, we need to clear out some underbrush because it's so heavily overgrown. And it's mostly brush. There are a couple trees in there, but we'd like to ask your permission to go in and do that, so we can do a geotech boring.
Yeah, I don't see where underbrush is a problem. You know, to get in there and do your geotech stuff, so you know where you're gonna have a foundation or not, or how deep you gotta go
Oh.
before you get.
Exactly. We need to drill, 3 or 4 holes to determine what, how big it needs to be and
Yeah.
the depth and diameter.
So is it just brush or?
There are a few trees also.
Talk to
Which
me
we-
about that.
We'd like to,
Yeah, so we should coordinate that with.
With
town-
Dan.
The town engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but have you connected with the town engineer?
Dan?
Yeah.
Yes. I sent him an email actually just the other day, as soon as I got the permit. And because we discussed it a few months ago, and he said once we had the DEC permit, he'd be okay with it.
Okay. And also, I'd have to check the lease, but we may need just a simple hold harmless at this point. I don't know what the lease, whether it provides for borings and entry before you've exercised your option.
I'm off the top, I don't recall either, but I think insurance certificates, of course,
Yeah, we'll deal with it quickly. It's not a problem.
it's addressed in the lease.
Okay.
The testing and pouring, so it did bring a couple,
So then a hold harmless shouldn't be an issue, right? So,
yeah, I
shouldn't be an issue.
don't, if it's anything beyond above what's in the lease, I think it's pretty much addressed in the lease.
For sure.
All right, what are we looking at here?
That's the lease for the tower.
Mm-hmm.
There are a
You
few
got
trees
your-
that need to come out.
I think there's some battery storage and a
Where you have
generator.
these
Is that a
fixes.
generator? I can't read it.
Way up there?
Up here by the, the end of.
Two, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So each X represents a tree?
Yeah, looks like 6.
What kind of trees are they?
It says on here. Cluster of maple trees. Maples, they seem to be all maples.
They're the old swamp
And this
maples that are
here is-
invasive, I
These are-
believe.
These we don't need to touch. And we don't need to, for the geodeck, we don't need to cut these trees down, but it would be.
Yeah. You know what, you're within, even under our tree law, those 6 is within right anyway.
5, I
Thought
think
it
it
was
is.
9.
Not if it's in a wetland. I think it's a different.
Yeah, I think you need a wetland permit.
Yeah, so that's what, just check with Dan before you go in and
Yeah.
chop anything down. Underbrush is one thing, but,
Like I say, we don't have to cut the trees down now, but since we're basically clearing the underbrush out, it
But eventually you're gonna have to do it? You say we don't have to do it now, but eventually you're gonna have to do it?
Yeah.
Yes, it has to be done regardless.
all right, so like I say, get with him, and if it needs a tree permit, we gotta do it, we have to do it. And
But
as far as
isn't
that
the
goes-
type of maple like invasive? Didn't we learn that from,
Yeah, they were called swamp maples years ago, but I don't know the actual,
so these might
Real
be
maple.
invasive anyway.
these might be invasive.
Looks like only 1 is in the wetland. The rest look like they're on the other side of the buffer.
Klaus, you need to take these down too? These 3, this cluster here?
Yes.
Okay. Have you visited the site? How big are they? What's the caliper of the trees?
Actually, it says it on here, but
Oh, it
it's
does?
so tiny. There's an 8-inch, the diameter is shown.
Wow.
We need to blow it up a little bit.
Wow. Can you see that?
No, it's like microscopic. and
Yeah.
tiny.
Hang on a second.
It's like little, see where the fluffies are? That's the maples.
Yes,
Maple, maple.
cluster of red maples.
Yeah.
One,
These are, but it's the fluffy balls.
8 inch and 4 inch, 6 inch,
See
something
if
like
we
that.
can expand this a little bit.
Yeah, they
There
would
we
have to, they would have to come down as part of the construction. at one
Something
point.
ash.
No, these are maples, and this one's, well, the ash tree is probably not
Something ash.
in the actual,
All right, well, can we find out what,
I can't see what this
type
is.
of trees they really are? You'll flush that out with Dan, and then I guess Dan will come back to us? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's flush it out.
Yeah, we'd like to, like to,
Stop in and see them or whatever,
Yeah.
Klaus. And this way here, you can, if it needs a tree permit at that point, then you get they're free. They don't cost anything.
right, that's, yeah.
But at least this way here, we can see what they are, what their caliper is at breast height, and
Yeah, we have it, it's just too small to read.
yeah,
We show it, but,
too small and too light.
as part of the, site plan though, I think we also need a tree permit as part of the site plan?
Best to double check with Dan on that. I believe
I
so.
think so.
Yeah.
You would have to get of course.
Well, it depends. It looks like you're below the limit in a typical, ordinary situation. You may not, it looks like you wouldn't need one, but let's check with Dan. He'll know. There's been a comment about that. If it's in a wetland, that there are different parameters for it, and it could be.
Yes.
So let's flush that out. Let's figure out what kind of trees they are, and the cell tower is an important thing in that area, especially for emergency communications. Above all else, I mean, me downloading
Exactly.
my stuff is not as important as
Exactly.
cops being able to communicate.
They are red maples,
Red maples.
one
which-
8-inch and
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like 8 inch.
You can read that?
I have the magnifier.
The problem is it's light. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that it's small. It's just it's in a different color and it's just, but all right.
Looks like
I think that
6-inch.
yeah, just take care of that, Klaus. This way, you're 100%,
And
clear to do what you have to do.
if there's any question, we can just go in now and do the brush and do the trees later. Because the geotech boring, of course, we have to schedule it, but it takes, even once we do the boring, a couple of weeks to get the results back and to do the foundation. So there's time, there's plenty of time
Yeah.
to do that.
So I mean, if you went to see Dan tomorrow, he could
Yeah.
probably ride right out there with you and do what you have to do, or
Yeah.
he'd send Will out, to see what's
Right.
going on, and probably
Right.
issue the permit to do what you have to do.
Okay.
This way, you're
Excellent.
done.
Excellent, yes. And once we have that, then we apply for a building permit, and we hope to build this
All right.
year.
How are you making out with the Granite Springs cell tower site?
Yes, as you know, we have the issue with the access of Granite Springs Road, and again, this is not very clearly visible, but I brought a map here too, just so you can have a understanding what problem is.
Yeah. Here you go. Ed.
The access.
Yeah.
So there's wetland there in the area, and we had a DEC wetland delineation, which is signed off by the DEC, which is shown here in the light gray line.
Mm-hmm.
This,
Right,
so many little lines on here. There's this line,
this one here,
This light,
I see it.
this
Yep.
baby one.
this one. That's what the DEC signed off, right?
Okay.
That gave us enough room to put a driveway through here,
Okay.
right? the town wetland consultant, Barton and Louise, I think it is,
What's that?
the town's wetland consultant,
Mm-hmm.
disagreed with the DEC
Is that why it stops here?
and then moved the wetland delineation towards this property where the baseline is here.
Okay.
And as you can see, that does not give us enough room right at this corner to put a driveway in. So we approached the neighbor, Mr. Erickson,
Mm-hmm.
to get an easement from him for just this little corner. That's what this drawing shows, this little green corner.
Right here.
Yeah. That
And then you're gonna kick it over.
would have been an easement that we would have paid him dearly for, but he's not willing to give us.
He's not in favor of.
So we have our engineers working on a small, like cantilevered bridge type thing.
Huh.
Post before and behind to just get
Get
one side
over.
of the,
Yeah.
get across that little section. It's only 10 feet or something like that, the length of it. I mean, it's really a matter of feet, but it needs to be done, otherwise we'll be in the wetlands and we need to go to the Army Corps of Engineers, and that'll take
Yeah.
2-3 years.
Yeah. The unfortunate, we had actually tried because this land where this is encompassed by Stewart's apple
Yes.
farm. All right, he does have a driveway that comes in
Yes.
off of Granite Springs Road. Is it Granite Springs Road? Yeah, comes in off of Granite Springs Road. There's a gravel driveway or whatever it is, and it goes through a rock wall, and it would give access here. And I talked to the supervisor of Somers, and Supervisor Scarano told me that he basically said absolutely not. So we were kind of dead in the water. That was the other entrance in. We were hoping, and they would have made the road better and paid the man to utilize it, but he didn't want to do that. So
It's that, and there's also a conservation easement that the Stewarts entered
That's
into
right.
with the Westchester Land Trust.
yeah,
So that's the other.
that's the other problem. But how many times once it's built do you have to go in there? Do you think?
Once every couple months.
Yeah, and it's a pickup truck.
Yeah, pickup. Yes.
That would have been a valuable option.
Yes. Agreed.
But that did not work out. So, I know we had talked about that cantilevered bridge to go over top of the, or I guess we'll call it a bridge, to go over the wetland and kind of
Right.
space it, or,
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we'd rather give the money to Mr. Erickson.
Yeah.
frankly. But he opted not to go that way.
okay.
So we have a structural engineer, bridge designing firm, Tectonic Engineering is working on that.
Yeah.
To make sure we got enough room and we can actually do it.
Okay. All right, keep us posted.
Yeah.
Okey dokey.
Oh, we'll give you that back there, Klaus.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
You don't want it?
Can I keep
Yep.
this? Okay.
It was,
Thank you. I'll keep it, thank you.
It was five
I'll
red,
talk to Dan
five red
Johnson.
maples and one,
5 red maples, 1
it was a,
Ash.
no, it was a Norway maple.
Norway maple, okay.
But they were like 8 inch, they weren't like,
There was 1 8-inch and 3, or 4 5-inch, and I don't remember if there was anything on the Norway maple. I couldn't see that.
thank you, Klaus.
Thank you.
All right.
And
You have
that is,
So at this point, you're looking to take the shrubs out, at least the shrubbery at least, so you could do your
Yeah.
boring, and then, and if we could, if you speak to Dan and everything's copacetic, maybe you do it in one shot, save us another trip with a.
we'll do that, and otherwise we'll just do the brush now, just so we can, it's time sensitive, so we can get it done.
How long before you do the brush, do you figure?
Well, we probably would like to do it, a week or two.
Go down and see him tomorrow.
Yeah.
We could probably get you everything you have to get
Yeah.
done. Just, be in touch with me and we'll
We gotta do the brush, and then we have to stake it out where
Mhm.
everything is, and then we can do the boring.
okay, and the borings are back in where your
Yeah,
tower and stuff
where
goes.
exactly where the tower, one goes where the tower is, and then there are two in the perimeter, I think 15 feet apart or something like that.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Likewise, have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too. All right. On to our resolutions. From our comptroller, authorize the comptroller to process the following budget transfer from fund balance to pool renovations. It's HR 2 pool renovations from fund balance, that'd be $600,000. From our engineering, authorize $6,750 change order.
This is the revised one, right?
Yeah.
You want to read it from here?
Oh, you got it there? Okay. All right. Yeah, we have a revised one here. There was a mistake in the,
Can you see it?
yep, that's perfect. All right, authorize a $6,750 change order to contract with Carbon Enterprise, whereas the town previously awarded a bid to Carbon Enterprise, Inc. for the purchase of delivery of 216 tons of filter sand, whereas an additional 80 feet of hose is needed to deliver the sand, whereas Carbon has agreed to provide the additional hose for $6,750. Resolved that the comptroller is authorized to transfer $3,500 from YS fund balance to maintenance and repair YS 8130.0460, and be further resolved that the comptroller is authorized to transfer $3,500 from YS fund balance to maintenance and repair DEP, and be it further resolved that change order number 1 for the sand filter media for the Yorktown Heights Water Pollution Control Facility project in the amount of $6,750 is hereby approved. All right. And then we have refuse and recycling, authorize the purchase of a 2020 Ford Explorer XLT four-wheel drive for it's $35,410 from Park Ford of Mapac. Then the supervisor authorized supervisor to sign a contract with ESI Employee Assistance Program Group for an employee assistance program. And then we're going to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement between the Town of Yorktown and Empire Consulting Services. The town board in conjunction with the highway superintendent, consent to road dedication, accept decommissioning bond for energy storage system, authorize the refund of duplicate first half school tax collection. How do people do that?
Sometimes
You're right.
you write a check, and then your husband does it online.
I'll introduce you to my mother-in-law.
Okay,
She will
okay.
understand completely.
Okay, we're going to authorize the town clerk to go out for a new bid for a heating and air conditioning system, and that'll be for our town archival and record center. We're going to authorize Maria D. Rubis to receive a stipend. We're going to renew renewal of the Yorktown stage lease, and that's it.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the town board meeting.
Motion.
Have a second. Nobody wants to go home?
Second.
Okay, just checking. All right. Any opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Good night, Yorktown.
Good night, all.